Hi there, Izzy from DigitalGoja.com showroom, and today we're going to take a look at memory card needs. A lot of us have now jumped into the DSLR market, and we're dealing with some of these really beautiful high-end, high megapixel DSLRs, and we're going back and forth between what kind of memory card we want to work with. Well, the first thing you got to take into consideration is if you're doing photographs, you also have single shot mode and continuous burst mode. Then you also have different file formats. You have JPEG, which is your compressed file, and then you have your RAW files, which are much larger. If, let's say, for example, you're shooting JPEG at a 24 megapixel and you're just doing individual shots one at a time, something like this, you know, it's about 12 megabytes of information per second. So you don't need a really high-speed card. But if you switch it over to continuous shooting, and now if you're doing continuous mode and you're shooting at about 5 frames per second, you're looking at about 60 megabytes per second. So that's where you need to look at the classification of the card. If not the single shot at 10 megabytes and 12 megabytes per second, you can use the standard class 10 card, something like this. And you'll notice, because usually the class 10 card will say class 10 SD high capacity. So this will work when you're doing single burst shoots. And again, 32 gigabytes. The memory card size is all dependent on how quickly you're going to be downloading your images. If you're going out for a whole day of shooting, and then you're shooting with something like this, which we're dealing with 50 megapixels, where some of your file sizes could be somewhere between 110 and 120 megabytes, then you have to start looking at the faster speed cards. So then you look at stuff like this that's on the market. For example, this one is a 64 gigabyte, and this is a class 10, and you're also going to see a designation of the letter U with a number in it. When you see the number 1 in there, that usually means that these cards can read and write at a much higher speed, so that way it doesn't slow down your camera with the buffer. So for example, if I place this guy in here, and I have my camera set to RAW, I can take about 600 shots. And again, we're doing 600 shots at 50 megapixels in RAW. And if you're doing single shots, again, it's not going to put a big strain on the camera. But when you switch it over to the high speed mode, and now you're doing continuous shooting, this is where you can put a strain on the card and on the buffer. So this is where these speeds come to play. And in today's world, we're getting to the point that they're coming out with stuff like this, which happens to be a 1000 speed. So that means that this theoretically can work at a high rate of speed, like 95, 90 megabytes per second read-write. So that way you'll be able to shoot with whatever DSLR you're working with and be able to capture beautiful raw images and not have to worry about having to slow down because your buffer can't keep up, or you're running out of space. That happens to be 128 gigabyte cards. Believe me, it's never going to stop. And for you videographers out there, remember, as long as you have a classification 10 card that can record at a 60 megabytes per second speed, you should have no problems being able to capture beautiful 1080 full HD videos. The 4K guys, you're in a different breed by yourself, and that'll be another video. If you like this video, click the like button underneath, and remember to subscribe to our channel. Happy shooting!